Yes, yes, people. We are back live on the channel for another Premier League review. First one back after the international break. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. A lot of shocking results over the weekend. A lot of interesting results as well. So we'll definitely dive into that, and obviously, we'll talk about something very very something that's very out of the ordinary.
Mm.
So gonna be interesting. But I have with me, Jan, my other co-host. What's good, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me back on.
Not doing too bad myself, man. Obviously, United's result wasn't great, but the manager, I'm liking him already. So yeah, we'll
Mm.
we'll see, we'll see. But yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, let's talk about let's talk about the big one first. City Spurs. That's the one that everyone's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we must discuss this because on my channel I was like, City. I don't think that's gonna be. I don't know if City will win the game. I was very skeptical about it. I had two predictions in my head. I was like, City might win, or that'll be a draw because I
Mm.
don't see City like destroying Tottenham like that.
Mm.
However, Tottenham went to the Etihad and absolutely decimated them. Like
Mm.
it wasn't even close. City
Mm.
were this is like the worst Man City I've ever seen in like a long time.
Certainly the
However,
worst. The worst since Pep has been there. I think for sure.
this is
Yeah.
the worst. This is the worst ever. Like since
I
since
mean,
uh City
since
have
the
had since City
owners,
since Pep joined, with Pep Guardiola. Like
yeah,
this is
with Pep for sure. I'm
Pep has
wondering
never
if
won a roll. Pep's never lost five on the bounce in his entire career, let alone like what you call with Man City.
yeah, yeah,
This is mental. Like five in a row, like five defeats in a row. We could be here talking about three losses in a row. Cool, in all comps, that's fine. That's not insane. But
yeah.
five in a row, like we need to talk about that.
Mm.
Like
Mm.
what do you think? What do you think is happening? Bar Rodri's injury, right? Because obviously Rodri's such a
Yeah.
massive the key to that Man City team. Like he's that massive like missing piece of that team. But what do you think like is the biggest issue? Because I'm seeing a Haaland like he's not getting the service,
Mm.
right? Phil
Mm.
Foden doesn't look the same player.
Mm.
Do you think? What do you think is happening with Man City? Do you think it's Pep's coaching? Do you think it's the tactics? What do you think? What do you think? Everything. Let me know. I want. I
Okay.
want.
Well, I would say for one thing is all four of the teams that the three teams that beat City in
Yes.
the Premier League are all teams that press very well. They
Mm,
get in your face and they play a high line, but they close the space in midfield. That's how Bournemouth play with Iraola. They're arguably one of the best at it in the Premier League. They saw what you did to United. I remember that game at Old Trafford where they basically pressed like four attackers against Man U's four defenders and they just killed you guys.
yeah.
Brighton against us, they pressed us like insane. They were in our face. I remember that game, and of course, Ange Postecoglou is probably the king of this kind of football.
Yeah.
So it's. I also think it's a tactical element that they've played these three teams on the bounce and lost to these three teams on the bounce is not a coincidence. And then Amorim at Sporting, similar approach. I think these are all teams that get numbers in midfield. They don't sit back. City wasn't losing to Nottingham Forest or Burnley or something. They were losing to teams who get in their faces, press them, so let them play through midfield.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? No Rodri. Gundogan is older than he was. He's De Bruyne
Yeah.
is way older than he was. Um,
Big up Prime every time.
hey, thanks, mate. Yeah, so that's these guys are missing. That makes a big difference, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, De Bruyne falling off big time. Yeah, it's the opponents as well. All three of these teams are very strong teams. I have to say, difficult to play against.
Mm,
So that also goes into it. Don't be deceived by Bournemouth being 13th in the league. Bournemouth are a very tough team to play against.
they are.
Yeah,
Iraola very well. I think, and so too Brighton. Like Brighton,
yeah. Brighton, of course, incredible right now.
very young manager as well. Hertz, whatever his name is. Yeah,
Mm,
the way Brighton set up. I think I could even talk about the game at Anfield where they took the game to Liverpool and could have actually maybe gotten a point because
mm,
that time Liverpool were just not in the game and Brighton could have scored a few of the chances. So yeah, Brighton are another team that beat Man City, but they're also a good team. But
mm.
Tottenham, though, they just lost to Ipswich before at home 2-1,
Well,
and they the Etihad and destroyed Man City.
Well,
Like,
is that Tottenham's real level, or is that just they're vulnerable on the counter against teams like Ipswich, where they have the ability to counter you? I mean, Ipswich are good, and I mean you
yeah,
you saw that this weekend that
yeah,
um on the counter they're quite scary with
no, they
Hutchinson
are. Yeah,
and
yeah.
Delap, and they're scary on the counter. And when you play a high line against a team like Ipswich, who are going to sit back and defend, you leave yourself open at the back, and they played without Van de Ven, so they
Mm.
space behind the back. Versus against City, City are the one leaving the spaces for Tottenham, not the other way around.
They're
So
too
those
high.
are very different games.
The thing is, Man City play very high up the pitch, but
Yeah,
that's only down to Pep because Pep wants to play this, very very like good sort of like
yeah,
attacking
because he's won what, five, six
five.
titles with this football. Why would he change now?
I was with Man City, like I don't think, yeah, don't change it up, but like especially now, I think he's got to. I think he's got to go with a different approach, and this is where it gets like this is where Man City really show their their true like how'd you call it? If they're still gonna be in the title race, they need to go up to where the next game
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It could be dark for Man City. It could be really really dark if they
No,
don't
I
do that.
think they lose that. I
I
think they
think
lose.
I
I
think they
think
lose that. Oh,
I think
but
Slot sits back. I think Slot just sits back, defends, and counterattacks on them. I don't think Slot's gonna try and have the ball. I think Slot's gonna be like, fine, you guys keep the ball. I don't
mm,
care. If you guys want the ball, you can have it. I don't need to control the game. You guys control the game. I'll hit you on the counter. I really believe he's gonna do that. I believe he's gonna pull off like a masterclass like that. I do believe that.
listen, I think slots come in and done very well with Liverpool. Like this is probably the best start I think a manager's had since I don't know. I've never seen before. This is
Mm,
probably like the best start to a managerial campaign in the Premier League like I've ever seen.
mm,
I,
mm.
I, since Claudio Ranieri at Leicester City, that was like that was the one. This if he wins the league with Liverpool, that's that actually gives Klopp more credit than it does Slot because Klopp has laid such a foundation at
Yes,
Liverpool,
I
whereas and
agree.
now where now new managers come in and he's even taking that to another level
Yeah,
with Slot.
he's added his own
Yeah,
ideas and made it more interesting
that's
and
the
more
thing.
like dynamic and more
Because,
difficult to play against. I agree. But also, I
yeah,
mean, yeah, it's Conte did the same thing, right? Conte came in his first season and won the Premier League. And it feels like that. It feels to me like that. It's
yeah.
like, oh, we don't know how to play against these guys. They're just good. They're just winning. They just have confidence. Um, it feels like that to me. So I think I yeah, I think they win over the I think Liverpool win. I really do believe they're going to win, and that'll put them 11 points clear, which is incredible.
But
Unless we
what does
win
that
and
say?
we make it 9 points, whatever it is.
What does that say for Arsenal though? Because does do Arsenal like still? I know Arsenal like for me they're 9 points off, right? But like, what does that say for them? Does that confirm Liverpool's title early on in the season, or does that say okay maybe Arsenal are the ones to challenge Liverpool this year instead of
Yeah,
Man?
Arsenal can still find a gear. I mean, okay,
They've
City
got
will
all the
not be out. City will not be out if they lose on
yeah,
Saturday. It's not the end yet.
yeah. It's not the end. No, 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 I agree. Completely
Yeah,
agree.
and Arsenal can still mount a challenge. Heck, we can mount a challenge.
No, you,
So
you but the question is, I don't think Chelsea will do it this year. I think they'll
yeah,
do it next. I
but
think I
if
think
Liverpool win, that they are 90%,
pretty much
85 to
yeah,
90%
pretty much. Because I just don't.
in.
But the thing is, yeah, and the thing is with Afcon, Liverpool are only losing Salah. Let's not forget, like they're only losing one player. I know he's their most important player, right? But they still got Jota, they still got Diaz, they still got like Gakpo. Liverpool is still scoring goals for fun. They ain't
Yeah,
going away
and
soon.
I mean, if I was them, I would bring in Kubo in the winter break. I would go for it. I think now is the time. Be like, okay, we have a lead. We're on. We have a chance to win a league title. Let's bring in the firepower now. Let's bring in Kubo
But
now. Let's not wait.
FSG, I don't understand why, even though I still think Liverpool are doing great. Like this is all credit to Slot and stuff like that. But
Mm,
why did FSG consider bringing in players for Liverpool squad depth purposes? Because you look at if for
yeah,
example, it's not me like like I'm not gonna give like my unbiased like or my bias hate towards Liverpool. I'm just gonna say this, yeah. If they lose players out injured, does that sort of like talk about FSG, like where the lack of investment,
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, for sure. I mean, they sold a lot more players than they bought this summer. Only one arrival,
yeah.
Chiesa, who is decent, but he's not a game-changing player
No,
like the way Salah is. So,
he's hardly
like,
played. He's
yeah,
hardly
he's
yeah.
hard to play.
He's out injured as well. Yeah,
That that is how FSG operate. They operate on a cost profit approach. They want to maximize their return on their asset.
yeah.
That's fine. Nothing wrong with it. But I think they will realize now when they look at the league table, which is we can win the title, and if we need to bring in a player to make it happen, we need to do it
January,
now.
January is where Liverpool
January is where the difference will be made for sure.
and also the contract situation between Trent, Salah, and Van Dijk as well. Like you've got these three massive issues to fix within the season. Obviously, it's not that these players are gonna have their keep their heads down because these are players that have given everything to Liverpool. Like they're not gonna throw away their season because they haven't got new contracts. I don't
Yeah,
think they're gonna do that because Liverpool are top of the league. They're where they are for a reason, right? So, but the contract situation is where it gets interesting because clubs in January will then be able to negotiate with them. So
yeah.
does that say a lot about Liverpool's season rather than like because if they all agree pre-contract with other clubs, this is their last season at Liverpool. So does that drive Liverpool more to win the league? Because
Possibly, possibly
that,
it does.
that
If I
inside,
was Trent or Van Dijk or Salah, and I have such a big, legacy at
yeah,
Liverpool, I would make sure that I leave on a high. I leave on a
exactly.
win.
They've
Yeah,
got
I
nothing
do
to prove
actually.
for Liverpool. They've proven everything. Like they've done everything for Liverpool. They don't have to prove anything more. Like
Yeah.
they've done everything they could. So yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But back to Man City. What do you think the biggest issues are? Like, obviously, because we mentioned Pep's tactics. Obviously, we mentioned like how great
Oh,
he's been.
yeah.
But but what do you think the other issues are? Because Man City, since you know what it is, I think ever since they've signed Haaland and Alvarez that window, Man City have done nothing in the transfer windows. Apart from get Guardiola in, I haven't seen Man City bring in like a good player,
Yeah.
like elite player. I've seen Savinho is a good player, but
Yeah.
they've not bring in like these ready-made players like they used to bring in David Silva. They used to bring in Jaya Toure. Not that was not a transfer window like Man City. For me, like they've not had a good transfer window ever since. Does that say a lot about the owners and
I
the
mean,
and
Savinho is just money laundering, right? It's just giving money to their other club.
pretty
Troy
much?
is owned by them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's that. And Savinho is not that good a player, I think, yet. Young still, has potential, but
very good.
he's not an elite player yet that he's gonna
No,
come in and change the game like that. To get the money that they got on Alvarez, a solid 80 million was it for Alvarez, and not bring in
yeah,
another player
85.
like that was a big mistake. Um, they've just had a few signings that have gone wrong in a row. So
Mm,
Mateus Nunes, I think, hasn't gone the way they wanted him to. To
yeah,
bring in Kovacic and then bring back
good no one.
Gundogan. Why? Why do you need both of
I don't
these
think they
guys?
need good no one back. They brought him back for squad death purposes. But what has he done ever since he's come back? He's been terrible since he's come back, and that's why
It's
Barcelona let him go because he didn't suit what they wanted to do at Barcelona.
Yeah, and he made it look like, oh, I'm leaving Barcelona because
Yeah,
Barcelona is the problem. They're the
and
sinking ship. And then he goes and well, now they're dominating in La Liga.
and also,
Suddenly,
but Man City they rarely ever bring ex players back. When they let them go, they're gone. They don't come back.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Elite clubs don't do that. Elite clubs let players go, let players go. So
yeah,
this has been a strange. And then you know what? I still think like Cancelo was a big mistake. I think I think
it,
Pep's ego got to him. I think Pep's ego got to him. Cancelo was a huge mistake. They never
maybe.
replaced him. So that build up from the back is not the same as it was. I mean,
But that says more about Pep than it Cancelo because Pep
yeah,
won because
it's
the
Pep.
year Pep sold him, they won the treble. Like they let him go, they won the treble right away. So
I think in the short run, sure.
yeah,
But then now in the long run, like the build up isn't as good. I think Cancelo missing. I don't know the lineup against Spurs where he plays three center backs plus Walker plus Rico Lewis. Like,
Yeah.
why do we need that?
Why
Why do you need two right backs when one is in midfield when you're already
bro,
going to play one inverted right back anyways? Like, what
Rico
are you
Lewis is
thinking?
playing in midfield? He's not even playing right back.
Yeah, so
He's
Rico Lewis is in midfield.
he's playing
Well,
in
why
inverted.
why are you doubling up on this? Like, what's the point? And then even despite having this extra security, you still concede 4 goals. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing? I don't know.
that's terrible,
But
man.
that's Pep, right? We never know. When it works, it works. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
And Kyle Walker looks like a shadow of himself as well. Like a lot. He has a lot of issues off the pitch as well with other people behind the scenes stuff like that. Yeah, and like, he also has like issues on the pitch. Like he's just not the same Kyle Walker. And I have another player that they made a big mistake on. They never should have let this guy go. You already know who it is. It's your man, Cole Palmer.
Oh, well, that's a
This
different story, right? It's a
guy would
different
walk
story.
straight
Isn't
into
it?
would walk straight into the City's team right now.
He would, but
Personally,
that's a different story.
that's a
But
different story. I agree. And Phil Foden as well. He looks like a shadow of himself. He's not the
just
same.
Palmer is understandable. They didn't know how good he would be. It's literally he's the reverse De Bruyne, right? It's exactly reverse. Like we had no idea how good De Bruyne would be. If we knew how good he would be, we would not let him go. But
Mm,
he only became that good because we let him go.
right.
Because so Palmer is just the reverse of De Bruyne. That's fine. The ones that make me upset are, or if I was a City fan, would be the ones where it's Pep's ego is to blame. That's
Yeah,
Cancelo's ego is to blame.
because Pep makes the decisions around Man City. Like he's the one that making the decisions all around the football club, and
Mm.
where I feel that they've kind of made a mistake because you let the board handle it, right? They brought in they brought in their players. The moment they gave Pep the full control, I'm not saying Pep take control is a bad thing, by the way, because now Pep saying that he doesn't want anyone. Like Pep is now looking at the transfer window like, I trust these players. I want to build Man City around their academy and stuff and stuff. There's too much inexperience going on at Man City right now. That's the thing. You've got Rico Lewis playing in midfield.
Yeah.
That's good enough, right? You didn't sign a midfielder to replace Gundogan a few years ago. You replaced him with Kovacic, right? Kovacic is good, but he's not Gundogan. No, with all due respect, like the Man City Gundogan, like the of old, not the current Gundogan, right?
Yeah.
You also didn't sign a right back for a backup to Kyle Walker. Yes, you have Rico Lewis, but he's playing in midfield. You didn't do that. You didn't address center backs. You've got Akanji and Gavardio. They should play. In my opinion, Gavardio should go back to center back for now,
Yeah,
up
I
until
agree.
Ake or someone returns, or sorry, up until and then you bring in a left back, and then that's where you bring in a left back in January. I think this is one of the Man City's most important January transfer windows ever. Like I never thought I'd say this, but Man City should be making transfers in the transfer window coming in January. They
Mm.
should be making because look, their squad for me is not is. I'm not saying it's in turmoil. It's terrible. It's just a lack of quality and depth right now. You've got so many academy players, so many inexperienced players. Like
Mm.
it's there's too many issues over there, and I think you know what I don't mind Pep going down the academy route. At the same time, you should have a lot of good players around them to build around the academy players. Because what's the point of having a full academy bench? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because a lot of
Yeah,
players
that
are as
that
well.
bench, I saw that bench on against
Yeah.
Tottenham. What is this, man? Like, what is actually happening on that bench?
Also, Bob out injured too. They've got
Doku's injured.
yeah,
He's
Grealish is out. Like
mm,
sorry, not Grealish is out. He just came back, but
mm,
he's barely had a sniff of the football. So like, yeah, you need to give him a new role, man. Jack Grealish in this team could be really, really important, I
mm.
think. But yeah, that's about Liverpool and Man City. Like we talked for us, we talked a lot about them. Let's go. Let's talk about Chelsea. I'll let you have the floor, man. About Chelsea, you can have your say.
Yeah, I thought we were good. I thought we were better than previous games. Happy with how we played. We could have scored more goals, frankly. I didn't think Leicester were that on it. I think we could have scored a couple more goals. I think we. Mm, I mean, it's just a solid 3 points. We're going to continue marching on to hopefully be in the Champions League next season. I think we are on course to do that. Um, so not much to say really. Like I really not much to say. I liked Enzo playing from the start. I thought we looked better with Enzo playing. So I feel vindicated on that front that Enzo played well and we had a good game. Um, and I liked we were more solid at the back. I didn't think the IU penalty. I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, I think he did clip his own leg, so I don't know, but it's not a big deal at the end of the day. I'm more interested in Leicester because after the game, Leicester sacked Steve Cooper, and
Mm,
I don't think Steve Cooper's at fault.
you don't think so?
I don't I like how
Uh,
much
uh,
can you really blame him? I don't think you can blame him that much.
at the same time, though, like it's just kind of weird. Like, why would you go for like a Nottingham Forest reject? You know, like he your biggest rivals as well. It's like it's kind of a joke.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
but
saying it's a bad.
I just don't think the players are up for the challenge of like the fact they're not in the relegation zone already is quite impressive given the squad they have. Because the squad they have is not that strong. It's really not. I have to be honest with you, it's really not. And the fact that they are where they are, which is it's 1 point from safety, but you okay. Look, compare this last season, um, Crystal Palace. You know how good they were, how incredible they were under Glasner, considered to be such a good team, and now they're in the relegation zone. They can't win a game. So that shows you how competitive it is. I think Ipswich Town, the process that McKenna is going on, he's doing a very good job with them. And Southampton are very good. Southampton
Yeah,
are actually very good. They actually have a lot of quality. This Tyler
they're,
Dibbling kid is amazing. They have lots of quality. So this is one of the toughest Premier Leagues I've ever seen in my life to survive in. So how can you blame Cooper? I don't think you can. I think it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be very rough for him to survive.
on Southampton though. Russell Martin, I thought he set up very well against Liverpool. I thought they could have maybe gotten a draw, but
Yeah.
the referee in that game was terrible, and also like I think the goalkeeper McCarthy was terrible. So that's
Yeah.
why I think won the game. But Southampton looked good. Like the way they play football is decent. It's just the results are getting this. It's not good enough.
Yeah, no,
But
I really like Russell Martin. I think he's a very cool guy, person. When you hear him talk, the way he talks, I think he's just a cool person, and I
yeah,
think I like his attempt to play possession football with Southampton. But it won't be enough to survive, I think. But if they go down, I hope they stick with him and let him come back up because it's a young team and they can still grow.
that's the thing. Yeah, they can go down and come back up right away because they have a good they have a decent sort of thing. They got Tyler Dibbling. They've got Cam Archer who's looked decent, right?
Yeah,
But Tyler Dibbling is one
I
like
think they're
everyone's.
building something. They're building something slowly over time, and it looks good. It looks like they're building, and that's good.
Probably looking at Southampton, they're more like a team where like you never thought that they'd be this bad because when they first came out to the Premier League, they were rocking, like they were on fire, and then the following year they got Pochettino, right? They nearly they were within the top seven as well, and then the following year they almost made Champions League football, just barely missing out. So the rise of Southampton and the fall of Southampton has been something that that nobody would really talked about.
Yeah,
Obviously, it
but
happened
I
for
mean,
years, but
I think it's not even. I think they're not bad. I just think the Premier League is so difficult now. I
mm,
think they're not bad, but the Premier League is more competitive than it was when they were around the first time. For sure, is way more competitive. You look at teams like Brentford, like Bournemouth, Brighton. What these teams can do is unbelievable. And it's really impressive what these teams are capable of doing. There's really no easy game in the Premier League at all. In fact, I have to say, from what I saw, I thought Leicester was Chelsea's easiest game of the season so far. I hate to say it, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I do think it
no,
was
I think that's
Chelsea's. I think it was their most straightforward win in the Premier League.
you. I think you guys played very very well. Though. I watched the game. I looked at Chelsea. I'm like, you guys cooked Southampton. Like it's like excuse me, Southampton, Leicester.
That's
You you
yeah,
you guys absolutely like don't let the result like tell you the whole story. That
yeah,
that was Chelsea's 5-6-1 win for me because like you guys
yes,
missed a lot
yes,
of chances. And especially in that second half where you could have killed the game off. Where Madueke accidentally blocked. I would say he did it on purpose. Obviously, I was like an accidental block for Cole Palmer, but obviously Chelsea, like they look good all year. This is a result where it should fool you in a way, because it's a result where Chelsea absolutely decimated Leicester away from home as well, and says more about Leicester than it does, because Leicester are a very weird team. They've still got a bunch of crap players around there. They've not changed.
Yeah, they've got
Leicester,
some crap players there, I have to say. And okay, the only game I think that was maybe easier than the Leicester game, maybe, was West Ham. But even then, that's debatable. And I do think that West Ham, from set pieces, caused a bigger problem than Leicester did at any point in this game.
Spurs.
Well, like, it's they were really out of it, and that's not Steve Cooper's fault. It's the fault of the squad, which makes you go back and think what Enzo Maresca did with this team to bring them back up is quite impressive then,
Yeah.
right? And the Maresca did a good job because I think Southampton are stronger than them. I think Leeds were stronger than them even in terms of the squad. Ipswich. Like this was this dismal. I feel bad for them. The question now is, what do they do? Do they go for, we're gonna try and continue what Maresca was doing? So try something possession based and take a
Mm.
risk, or are they going to try and get someone who's defense first, survival kind of manager? What do you think?
Mm. I think they go for someone like maybe Graham Potter, like you mentioned to me
Yeah,
earlier.
yeah,
Graham Potter might be the one. I think they might go for someone like someone that can keep the stability alive, because Leicester this year they look very very like they just look so vulnerable. Like every time they go forward, they look good. But it's about getting back. Their transitional football, their football and transitional football is crap. Like the way they get back, like especially the defense is awful. They've got some good players going forward. I like Bonanote. I like Mavididi. Very good players. Very 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 good players for Leicester, right? But it's the defense for me. Like, I just don't like. They let go of Soyuncu, who was okay for them. They let go of Castagna. Obviously, they got relegated, so they let go of many players. But where was the investment from Leicester? When they came up, like they
yeah.
barely.
Where was it? Yeah,
The lack of investment is where I kind of pin it on, because dare I say it, Kuntop, right,
yeah,
has barely spoken about, like has barely made upgrades to the squad.
yeah, yeah.
He's
No,
barely he's barely made changes, like to Leicester, like ever since they went down, like ever since they let go of what Mahrez, ever since they let go of what um a couple Fofana, they've barely replaced they barely replaced these guys. And Enzo Maresca, like, it's, to be honest with you, okay, Steve, it's not entirely Steve Cooper's fault, but he could have done a bit of better job, like managing players. Maybe it's partially on him, but it's also partially on the team and the rest of the
I
owner, in
think
my
it's
opinion.
majority on the board, majority
Yeah,
on the team.
they
They
should have done.
say they buying back Jordan Ayew at this point,
Mm,
not strengthening key positions, not going for Premier League experience. I'm trying to pull up the net spend of each club or the different promoted teams. But you look at Ipswich, you look at Southampton, they seem like they were more prepared. Um, and they Leicester know how hard it is to survive in the Premier League. They have experience. I don't get why they didn't strengthen more, frankly.
nah, you're right, man. The money, especially the money that they got coming up to the Premier League as well. Like, you should use that. You should be utilizing that money to go and strengthen
Yeah.
their team. And for me, that's not been good enough, per se.
I
It's
mean,
just
you
not.
just compare that Leicester when they spent £49 million coming
Mm,
up. They spent £49 million. Ipswich spent £106 million.
right.
That's that's a big difference. Ipswich spent £106 million in their squad. Southampton £62 million in their squad, and Leicester only £49 million.
And also to quickly mention, Nottingham
That's
Forest
net, by the way. That's net, not yeah.
made 18 transfers with the year they came up. 18 transfers the year they came up. Nottingham Forest made, and
Yeah,
that was when they got Chris Wood. That was the time they got in Chris Wood.
yeah.
And now look at them right now. They look really good. Even apart from the game on Saturday, they look really really good.
Mm.
But I'll let you say, bro. Just continue saying about Chelsea, man. I'll finish off on that.
No, so I think that the issue is Leicester didn't spend money. They didn't spend enough, and this is why they're in this problem. That's when they're in this mess.
Fairs. You want to say anything more about Chelsea, or you're
Not
done?
really. Good performance, 3 points. What else to say?
You got
Really?
you got you got Europa next. You should be winning that game. I think.
Yeah, Heidenheim. I think it'll
Well,
be the team again, and
that's
then
that's that's comfy. I think Chelsea win that one.
yeah, and then back to Premier League at the weekend. Aston Villa, big game.
Oh,
Home Aston Villa,
we'll,
big
we'll
game.
definitely we'll definitely put it on the channel, people. So make sure you tune in. Let's quickly go. Let's quickly talk about Arsenal a little bit before we wrap. Before we move on to United, and a bit about another. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about this team. Let's talk about Newcastle West Ham. Even though we didn't watch the game, let's actually talk
Yeah.
about it. What do you think the current situation in Newcastle is? Because I think Newcastle, for me, right, I've said this many times, right. I think it's time to move from Eddie Howe.
Yeah, I get it.
Because they've got all this money in the world. Like Newcastle could literally invest in like I don't know however much, and like they'll be okay. But the thing is with owners, I think that there's a lot of changes with them to the board, and obviously a lot of change a lot of changes in the off season. So yeah, but I still think for me they should have let go of Eddie Howe a long time ago. I think it's where now it's time for Newcastle to actually go and challenge the big teams because they've got all this money. They brought in some good players. They brought in Bruno Guimaraes. They brought in Tonali with the money. They've got in who else? Isak, right? And they've got some good players, man. Botman as well. Like Newcastle got some really good players, but it's about where it's more about where now they're utilizing that squad. It's time for me to get a better manager in because obviously losing at home to West Ham is like, I'm sorry, like 2-0 at home to a struggling team, like that's just so out of the blue.
That's one aspect, but also they're still only 4 points off the top four. But that's how tight it is. So
Yeah, it is.
I wouldn't overreact if I was them. I would just be patient.
I think it's time to let go of Eddie Howe. I think
It might be, but I wouldn't overreact. There's only 4 points off top four. I wouldn't overreact like that.
it would be so funny if Newcastle went for Jose Mourinho, wouldn't it?
But I don't think that's what they want. I think they want a long term. If I was them, I would go for like Iraola or somebody, who's gonna build me up over 5-6 years and make me a top four team over time. I think
Or
Iraola would be a fantastic option for them.
maybe that's actually a decent shout. And obviously, like there's still top managers out there, so Newcastle should use the money where it is obviously, and their fans should demand more because they've got a decent fan base. Newcastle they've got a very loyal fan base.
Yeah.
So I think it's better time for Newcastle to act because like losing 2-0 at home to West Ham is alarm bells ringing, in my opinion. Like you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
And there was just a quick one on Newcastle. I just wanted to touch on that. Let's talk about Arsenal.
Every week, man, I'm sick of Arsenal.
All the players back fit, looking good. Arsenal destroyed Forest on the weekend. Like I wouldn't say anything else much. Like the Arsenal strengthened their Arsenal need to buy players in January though. Like real talk, they need to buy a striker. Well, I think Arsenal.
They won't buy a striker. They need to, but they won't. No. What else to say? They won a game. Good. Like, what else do I have to add? Every week it's about Arsenal. I mean, yeah.
It is. So the thing is, like obviously because we can't talk about the top of the league and not talk about Arsenal. Like obviously even though they're not doing as great like as people think, right? Like it's still like there's still 9 points off Liverpool, even though I don't think I think they will be gone soon. I think Arsenal will be finished soon anyways. But yeah, United.
Yes, that's what I want to talk to you about. Oh, and before I forgot.
Yeah.
Do you know who the favorite is right now to take over as Leicester manager?
Who?
Ruud van Nistelrooy.
That would be decent. I can't lie.
It'd be a huge risk, man. It'd be a huge risk. His only experience is in the Netherlands and like 2 games to Man U. It's a huge risk. He's the favorite right now.
But the thing is, if you back him in January, that's where I pin this on. This is where it comes down to the owners for me. That's what I mean. It comes down to the owners. What decision do you have to make now? What decision do you want to make going forward? You know what I mean? Because Do you want to hire the manager and not back him? Do you want to give him the money that he deserves and should use to build the squad, or would you rather just like let it rot out again?
Yeah.
Because that's what I mean. Like, because they didn't back Cooper, even though Cooper was not a great manager.
Mm.
They didn't back they didn't back who the previous manager was, Brendan Rodgers, before they got relegated. Like, they sacked Brendan Rodgers, but they got and they got relegated. But as well, lack of investment is where it comes down to, because even though Leicester have been hit hard with the pandemic and stuff like that, yeah, I don't think you can. I think the pandemic is obviously it's sort of now out of reach. So where's the financial backing?
Well, yeah, King Power have recovered
Yeah,
financially,
I,
but
I would, yeah.
but the it's about the profit and loss over the course of a set period. So I don't know how Leicester's accounts are. It could be anything. I have no idea.
Fairs. But let's get into United. Obviously, I was not happy with the result on the weekend, even though I've heard some many positive things about the manager. I think the manager for me has a lot of positive. He's come in and he already made a difference in terms of how United how do United want to set up. And I'm completely with 3-4-3. I'm completely with it because it's a new system. It's a new way of playing. I
Mm.
want to see more of. I just want to see how players when coming back. Like, for example, Lisandro Martinez, right? He's out for 3 weeks now. On the weekend, if Lisandro Martinez was not out, I would love to see him at left center back with De Ligt and someone else, and someone at right center back, and then you play Mazraoui at right wing back, because that's where I felt like you didn't utilize Mazraoui properly. Obviously you can't blame Mazraoui, because Mazraoui was played in the wrong position, right? Because we had injuries, and then Ahmad has to play right wing back, so that's where we didn't utilize Ahmad's full ability on
No,
Sunday.
but is that the future for Ahmad? Maybe left wing
No,
back? Is that the future
no,
for?
no. He's gonna play left attack midfield, because you know why? Because the thing is, we didn't have Martinez fit, so we had to play Masraoui at right center back. Because so then
Oh, you had
when you
Shaw. You could have started Shaw.
Shaw
I
just came
actually
back from
do
injury,
believe
so
that he's going to be a fullback, wing back in the long run.
the thing is Shaw, right? Like, he just came back from from another injury, surprise surprise. So yeah, he's, I don't know. Like,
Mm.
I've just I for me, if I'm Amarim, I would literally thinking about, like, who I want out the door right now. Like, that's the first thing I would think about when I walk through the door, because United are in a mess, right? And I'm not going to pin this on the manager all the weekend, because for me the result is more, it says more about how much of a mess Ten Hag has left us in, rather
Mm.
than what the manager's come into, because the manager's just come in this week, and he's had his first training session this week. I'm not gonna like pin this on the manager at all.
Mm.
Where I say where I think the issues are is it's the players again. Like, what do you have in your heads? Like, like, because Rashford there scored the first goal and just went missing the entire game. Like, he
Mm.
scored the early goal and went missing the entire game. Garnacho, once again, I've had too much to say about him. Like, he's, for me, right. I I don't know what to say anymore with Garnacho. The guy doesn't pass the ball properly. He doesn't. He's
Yeah.
very like he's very selfish. Like, he's up here. He's thinking about himself too much. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's time for him to get dropped. I just think
Mm.
it is. I
Mm.
I, I think we go and sign someone. I think we have to go and sign someone new, and like we have to go and sign a new winger. We need to sign a new striker. A striker we don't have. We don't have a clinical finisher. And when you saw Ahmad towards the end of the game, when Ahmad cut inside, right, with this, like, when he was taking defenders on, he completely destroyed that defense. If you give him more of those opportunities in the game, he could have won us the game. If you give him more of those chances in the game, like, for example, the second half, he starts on that right attack midfield position, right? He could have been he could have helped us win the game with that with the attacking threat he had, with the fearless, like, dribbling and all of that. That's what I like about him. He's not scared to take defenders on. He's very like, he's very composed on the ball. He's very technical. And
Yeah.
Ahmad, for me, he needs to start. He needs to be United's right hand side player. He needs to be our right winger going
Mm.
forward. Like,
Mm.
he's a very very good player. Very good player. I rate him a lot. And already one of my favorite players at the club for a reason. Like, he deserves it,
Yeah.
and he's very hard working. He keeps his head down. He never complains. Never complains. One of the players that I want at my football club. and him and Mazraoui, the two players
Mm,
I've gained a lot of respect for in the last like in the last few months. Like them two, for me,
yeah.
have earned my trust and respect for a long time. But
Mm,
where I see the issues are is the players in the head. Like where was your mentality to get back into the game when Ipswich were taking control of the ball? Where was that where was the mentality? I saw a lack of like I saw a lack of effort from Rashford and Garnacho. Even actually Garnacho, I would say Garnacho. I say more of Rashford because Rashford went missing the entire game after scoring the goal.
mm,
Garnacho, you know what it is? There were chances where he could have passed and stuff, but look, it's Garnacho. Like if you ask the guy to pass, he just won't pass. He wants to have the ball to himself, right? And you got Bruno
mm.
Fernandez. I'm not Bruno Fernandez's biggest fan, but he had a decent game on Sunday. I thought he played well with the ball. He made some good passes, and you
Yeah,
know it is what it is. And Onana, props to him, made some really good saves. And obviously, we got players to come back, Euro to come back, hopefully Lissandro Martinez to come back. So that's where I feel like we can sort of depend on that, and hopefully they come back fit. And Mainu, we still have Mainu to come back from midfield, so I would like to see how he does. Casemiro, Ugarte, Ericsson, good player, have been decent for us this season, so I would like to see how they integrate into this team. So yeah, all in all, I'm disappointed with the result, but a lot of good things about the manager because he set things straightforward. He's set things very precisely. He's not scared to admit the truth. So
mm,
yeah,
mm.
what I like about Ruben Amorim so far, and obviously can't blame him really.
Yeah,
Yeah, I give you say now.
I agree with you, and I also like the fact that you're right. He said what he thought. He was honest,
Mm.
analyzing the problems, but he's not also blowing up in people's faces. He's not pulling Mourinho, throwing Shaw
More,
under the bus kind of deal. He's being calm about it. He's not panicking. He's not showing like he's being calm. He's saying we have to do X, Y, and Z. Let's do it,
maybe
and that's
because it's his first match, that's why. Maybe because it's just his first match. Maybe we'll see later down the line. Maybe we'll see something else.
yeah. But I like it. I like the staying composed and just being like matter of fact about it. And also, I think the way he plays will fit the squad.
Mm.
If they agree to fight for him, it will fit the squad.
100%, because that's where it depends on the players as well. Like they need to have that will to play, and I saw there's a lot of players. I think we need to go out. I need to leave. There's still a lot of players that need to be offloaded. I like people might not like it, but Rashford needs to go. That's one of the players that need to leave United. I don't think he's good enough anymore for United. I don't think as much as I've been really happy with his progress this season. I've been really happy with his actually no I won't talk about him yet. Players like um for me Maguire needs to go. Like
Mhm.
he's been here long enough. Like he's
Only
not
Evans.
good enough. Luke Shaw, another one, always injured, never, and he was available to play for England but not available to play for United. Like why? Like he could play for England but not United. So that just tells me everything you need to know about Luke Shaw. He needs to go. Right? That's another one out the door for me. Lindelof shouldn't be here. Evans, love Evans for everything he's done for United in the past, like with the Fergie days and everything. We can't. He shouldn't be here. Should be here. Play. Every time he stepped on the pitch, he's played decent. He always gave it all. I'm not going to fault his effort at all, one bit. But he can't be here for United. He shouldn't be playing for United. There's a lot of players that need to move on. I trust Ruben Amorim to find the right players and to bring in the right players because we need to build and we need a striker big time. Like
Mm,
we need to score goals. The problem is we can't score goals. We
yeah.
don't have a lethal deadly striker in front of goal. When the chips are down, right?
Mhm.
When you need to smash and grab goal, like late on in the game, you need a striker that can put away chances that pop out to you out of nowhere. So that's why I'm saying we need a striker in January, big time.
Yeah.
We go get our own striker and go get someone like Gyökeres in the summer because Gyökeres would fit the system massively. So that's
Mhm.
where that. But I'll let you continue, bro. Sorry, I just wanted to get
No,
my point.
I go off, man. I mean, I haven't seen. I watched the game, the United game. I thought they were good in parts. I don't know how long he expects to be playing this more defensive style of sitting behind the ball and waiting for
Mm.
teams to come onto him. But he doesn't. He sounds like he doesn't like it. It sounds like he did not like the fact that you guys dropped off, and he
Yeah,
actually wants to be on the front foot and
right.
control the game. I mean, I'm not convinced of his experience and all, but let's wait and see now. Let's wait and see.
But yeah, I mean,
Mm.
I hope it gets better. If it doesn't, then we have to. The thing is, for me now, we got to win the Europa League. Like that's the number one priority for me. The Europa League is that number one priority. We have to. We have to go. We have to put all eggs in that Europa League basket.
And I
If you want
think,
to get,
yeah, he could actually be a good cup manager. So yeah.
and it was a good chance for us to get up high in the league as well. Because you know what it is, Spurs won. Spurs beat Man City, right?
Mm,
City dropped points. Liverpool lost. I said Liverpool won. Arsenal won. Chelsea won. It could have brought us back to 4 points behind you again. But I think for me, we threw it away.
mm,
We threw it away. Now we're 6 points off you, I think. So yeah, it's I don't like that. And I feel like we could have gone high up the table, but yeah, it is what it is. I mean, look,
mm,
we have to do what it takes now. So for me, we have to win the Europa League. Like I said, go and get that Europa League. Try and win the Europa League, and compete in the and FA Cup as well. I would like to go back to back. So those two cups, and if we get past Spurs, we'll see where it takes us in the Carabao Cup. So yeah, we're not out of all the cups yet. I don't think we'll be Tottenham, unfortunately.
yeah,
However, FA Cup and Europa League must be a priority this season.
mm,
So
mm.
yeah, that's what it is. Um, hold on, let me just see if there's any fixtures left we didn't talk about. Yeah, I guess that's it really. To be honest with you, yeah, people are gonna wrap it up here. So
Mhm.
before you're watching, make sure you click the YouTube link and subscribe. Obviously, like the video. I'm nearly at 100 subs, so make sure you get me there soon. But yeah, big up, Gan. Thank you for coming on, bro. Obviously, once again, man, thank you for hopping on and talking football again.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Thanks for having me, bro.
No worries, man. Shout your thing out, like shout your stuff out, like what
No,
have you been doing that and everything.
no, I'm gonna pass on that, mate.
It's okay, no worries.
Yeah,
But yeah, people, that's been enough for today. Like,
yeah,
I will be back in just a few minutes to do a bit of NBA talk with King. So make sure you tune in, people. So yeah, take care, people. We'll be back in a few minutes.
all right. See ya.